Welcome to this Sympliact demo video. It's July 17th, 2024, and this evening we released some platform updates and new features, and this video is meant to hopefully be a fairly succinct overview of some of the main changes. So when we start on the dashboard, daily patient schedule here. Main thing that we've tweaked here is we changed the provider filter back to start in a default mode of no providers being selected, and if you want to narrow your view, you select the provider or providers that you want to see, and you can unselect them in the same fashion. Other changes that don't really show up in this practice, but if your practice has quite a few resources, we decreased the minimum width of the resources so that you can see more of that entire schedule in one view. If we go into the Sympliact dashboard, big change here is we've added a search interaction. So if you need to search by a specific patient name that you're trying to find within your inbox or outbox, you can. Within the incoming or inbox, you can search by who the request is from. So if you want to search a practice or a specific provider, you can search those. And same thing in the outgoing box, you have that search interaction now. If we go into a patient chart, a few changes here. Some of the main changes are in the create and edit appointment interaction. So we increase the size of the modal and similarly decrease the minimum width of the resource column so that you can see more of the global schedule in this interaction, have a bigger view of things. Similarly, the provider filter, instead of all of them being selected, you can select specific providers that you want to see. And up here at the top, we added a summary section that shows details of what the appointment that you're creating. And as you can tell, we got rid of some of the fields because most of those fields are accomplished by selecting a time slot on the schedule itself. So notice I have a maximum of 4 fields here usually. If I come down to the schedule, find an open slot, select that. Everything else is taken care of at that stage. So we can create the appointment. If I come up here, I can review a summary of what I'm selecting for this particular appointment. And then we can just create that appointment like we normally do. I'm going to go back to the patient profile screen and highlight some additional functionality here. So if I expand the patient summary column here, we can see this patient is linked to our practice as the guardian of a minor. If I go to this menu, there's nothing really available to me since the patient is a linked guardian. Let's go to the dependent. This is a linked patient. And now with linked patients, in this same menu that's usually send registration, we have the option to disconnect this patient record. So let's say this patient is linked, but their guardian can't access the patient app because they forgot their password or there's something else blocking moving forward. What we can now do is elect to disconnect the patient record, which I'll do in just a second. But one thing I wanted to re-highlight is if the dependent is linked, let's say we wanted to register this adult via the practice app or create a transient or a temporary patient account for them. I can't do that while a dependent is connected because in order for the dependent to be connected, they have to have an associated guardian. But what I can do is I can disconnect the dependent. This patient will now become an unlinked patient. So for this patient, I could now create or send registration via creating a temporary patient account for them. But also now what I have access to do at the guardian level, since we disconnected their dependent, they also become an unlinked patient. So now we have that option at the guardian level too. So this gives us more control over control some of those situations where the patients may be partially registered via the patient app. Now they claim they forgot their password or they can't access the patient app, and we want to get them to execute their authorizations using a temporary patient account or complete whatever registrations remaining, things along those lines. And then I'm going to switch over to the patient app. Some quality of life improvements on this side. The main thing I want to highlight is for a dependent HIPAA authorization. We built this in to try to make things as streamlined as possible, but the guardian has created an account. They've created a dependent that they now need to fill a HIPAA authorization out on for. We've got two interactions that makes it quick for them. Instead of retyping their address, there's a copy button right here. One click, their address is entered. Same thing on phone number, and we've added some instructions to hopefully help them realize that this is an option. Instead of retyping their phone number, one click to copy, and then they can quickly just finish that HIPAA authorization and move on to the next step to, again, hopefully make that process as quick as possible, particularly when they're doing it in the office and we're ready to move forward with their appointment. So again, there's some other smaller kind of under the surface tweaks and changes that are also meant to kind of improve the quality of life on the practice and patient side, but that's a highlight of some of the bigger changes that might more significantly impact your daily workflows. If you want to dive deeper into any of this functionality, please feel free to reach out and we can get on a video call if need be and walk through those interactions in a little bit more detail. Okay, thank you guys, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.